At first glance, Elon Musk looks like a contradiction walking at full speed. A man who tweets impulsively, yet builds decades-spanning industrial systems. A CEO who publicly courts chaos while privately obsessing over physics, manufacturing tolerances, and first principles logic. He is praised as a visionary and condemned as reckless, often in the same headline. But beneath the noise, beneath the memes and controversies, there is a deeper story, one not about personality, but about systems. This is the story of how Elon Musk built an empire not by following the rules of modern capitalism, but by rewriting them. To understand Musk, we have to go back before Tesla, before SpaceX, before Mars became a punchline and a promise. We have to start in the late 1990s, at the edge of the first internet boom, when Silicon Valley was discovering that software could scale faster than any physical industry in history. Musk arrived in this world not as a disruptor of atoms, but of bits. Zip2, his first company, provided online business directories for newspapers, hardly glamorous, but lucrative enough to sell for over $300 million. Musk walked away with roughly $22 million. Most founders would have retired. Musk didn't even pause. His next act was X.com, an online payments company that would later merge and become PayPal. When eBay acquired PayPal in 2002, Musk walked away with roughly $180 million. This moment matters more than it seems. It wasn't just capital, it was credibility. In Silicon Valley, success compounds. Money attracts talent. Talent attracts belief. Belief attracts more money. Musk now had access to all three. And instead of using them to build another software platform, he made a decision that would define everything that followed. He moved into industries where failure was normal and success was considered nearly impossible. Space, energy, transportation, these were not markets optimized for venture capital returns. They were graveyards of ambition, dominated by governments, legacy contractors, and entrenched inefficiencies. Rockets were disposable, cars were fossil-fueled, power grids were centralized and brittle. To most investors, these were reasons to stay away. To Musk, they were evidence of stagnation. The question he asked wasn't, "Can this be profitable?" It was more dangerous. Why does this cost so much in the first place? This is where first principles thinking enters the story, not as a slogan, but as an operating system. At SpaceX, Musk didn't accept the aerospace industry's assumption that rockets had to be expensive. He broke them down into raw materials, aluminum, titanium, and composites, and discovered that the inputs were only a fraction of the final price. The rest was inertia, tradition, process layered on top of process. If rockets were built like airplanes, reused, vertically integrated, and iterated rapidly, the economics would change, not incrementally, exponentially. The early years were brutal. 3 failed launches nearly bankrupted SpaceX. Musk poured in his own money as investors fled. In 2008, the company had enough cash for one final attempt. If it failed, SpaceX was finished. The 4th launch succeeded. Within months, NASA awarded the company a major contract. That single success didn't just save SpaceX, it validated an entirely new industrial logic. Reusable rockets were no longer theoretical, they were inevitable. Tesla followed a similar path, but with a different enemy: perception. Electric cars weren't constrained by physics as much as by belief. They were seen as slow, ugly, and niche. Musk approached the problem backwards. Instead of starting with affordability, Tesla started with desire. The Roadster proved electric cars could be fast. The Model S proved they could be luxurious. Only then did Tesla move down market. This wasn't marketing, it was sequencing. Change what people want first, then scale what they accept. But the real power of Elon Musk's empire doesn't come from individual companies. It comes from how they connect. SpaceX feeds Tesla with material science and software talent. Tesla feeds energy storage into solar and grid solutions. Neuralink explores interfaces that echo Tesla's autonomy ambitions. The Boring Company exists not as a standalone business, but as infrastructure for an autonomous future. Even X, formerly Twitter, functions as a real-time sensor, an unfiltered feedback loop between Musk and the world he's trying to reshape. This is vertical integration taken to an extreme. Where most corporations outsource complexity, Musk absorbs it. Tesla builds its own batteries, writes its own software, designs its own chips. The payoff isn't just margin, it's speed. When global supply chains collapsed, Tesla rewrote firmware to work with alternative chips. While competitors waited, Tesla shipped. Control became survival. Risk in this system is not avoided, it is structured. Musk repeatedly bets the company when the upside is nonlinear and the physics are sound. This isn't recklessness, it's asymmetric risk tolerance. Failure means bankruptcy, success means rewriting an industry. Most executives are trained to protect the downside. Musk optimizes for the upside, provided the math allows it. But engineering alone doesn't build empires. Belief does. Musk understands this, perhaps better than any industrialist since Henry Ford. His narratives are not accessories, they are infrastructure. Mars reframes SpaceX from a contractor to a civilizational project. Sustainable energy reframes Tesla from a car company to a moral imperative. These stories buy time. They attract talent willing to work harder for less money. They convince investors to tolerate delays and losses in exchange for participation in something larger than profit. Crucially, these narratives are anchored in real progress. This is the line between Musk and failure cases like Theranos. The story can bend reality, but it cannot replace physics. Musk's companies survive because eventually the rockets land, the cars ship, and the systems work. Today, Musk's empire sits at the intersection of unprecedented power and unprecedented scrutiny. His companies influence transportation, energy markets, space access, information flows, and potentially human cognition itself. The speed of execution is breathtaking. So is the concentration of authority. This raises uncomfortable questions. What happens when so much industrial capacity is aligned with one individual's judgment? Are we accelerating progress or creating new forms of systemic risk? Yet one insight cuts through the noise. Musk's greatest advantage is not intelligence, money, or even risk tolerance. It is time. He operates on multiple time horizons at once, tweet by tweet, product by product, decade by decade, century by century. While others are trapped in quarterly earnings cycles, Musk makes decisions justified by 50-year outcomes. That temporal arbitrage allows him to ignore criticism that measures the wrong time frame and to pursue goals others can't afford to wait for. The empire then wasn't built by being smarter. It was built by thinking longer, by asking not what works now, but what must work eventually, and enduring the chaos in between. The final question isn't whether Elon Musk is right or wrong. It's whether the future will belong to those willing to think in centuries while the rest of the world argues in quarters. Because if history has taught us anything, it's that the people who change the trajectory of civilization are rarely comfortable and never conventional.